The Drive with Tim Donnelly, 99.9 The Fan.
I'll keep looking at it.
We do have Mike Maniscalco,
Yes.
the voice of the Canes, outside of the Lenovo Center, which I'm going to stumble through every single time I say it.
I have the, in place of the swear jar, it's the Lenovo jar. So hopefully I can only buy a cup of coffee by the end of the year.
There you go.
So.
I would already be able to buy a cup of coffee. We've been on air for 30 minutes outside the arena. The Lenovo Center, we are outside getting ready for Canes Lightning tonight with Mike Maniscalco, the voice of the Canes. We were just talking about this before the break. Do you get the feeling that Rod Brind'Amour is a little juiced up to have some unknowns going into this year?
I was listening to you talk about it on the ride in, and I want to thank all of the people who are getting here early and trying to figure out how to park again. But to that end, it gave me pause for a minute. And then I'm like, no, because I think he's always juiced, no matter. And when I say that, I think for him, there's always a challenge. Like if it's a veteran group, how do you keep the veteran group inspired and push the rock up the hill? If it's a new group, how do you get them integrated in the system and up to speed? And I did hear the Troy Aikman thing. I'm like, I thought that was a really good analogy, but then I'm sitting there going, no coach wants,
definitely don't want the injury.
You want your best players or the best players possible. I think that for Rod, it is, when you say juiced, I think there's a little bit more nervous energy because you don't know what you're going to get out of this group. But I think the way he approaches everything, it's not, there's more oomph to it this year. I think it's all right, have I done enough to get this group where they need to go?
And if you needed a little extra anticipation, just you keep everyone in the dark on the goal and until they skate out there for warm-ups.
He said it best. There's going to be a goalie, guy wearing pads. We'll figure out who it is. I know that this is going to be a big thing with Canes fans and the media and certain apps and cities that want to know who the starting goalie is well ahead of time to help set things. That being said, this was a team that pretty much has relied on a rotation of some sort since Rod's taken over as the head coach. So I think it's going to be a rotation again this year. I think one of them will emerge, be it Frederick Anderson or Pyotr Kochetkov, and please don't read anything into me saying one name first, because
we'll go alphabetical by last name.
Exactly. Yeah. I'll find that out there. But I think that it will be a rotation again, and it sorts itself out. And really, you said it when I was listening to you drive in. Yeah, the regular season is nice, and we have this team is judged now what they do in the playoffs. So that's when the goalie question will become really all right, who is the number one goaltender when hopefully we get to that. But I think I'm laughing that people don't think this is a playoff team, because while there have been changes, the core is still there, as you pointed out. The goaltending is still there. The coaching staff is still there. So
the system is still in place.
Yeah.
Well, then we'll go to something that did change over this offseason. We're talking with Mike Maniscalco, voice of the Canes, which is actually not as much because there's some deferred money, but Seth Jarvis's bank account changed in a big way this offseason. And, there's a scheduled big change in like 2032 or whenever that deferred money hits. I'm big in pro sports with great money comes great responsibility. What is the next level for Seth?
I think the next level for him is he shows he can be a 30-goal scorer consistently. And that's something that this year would show it, because it'd be 2 years in a row. But you were talking about stepping up, going to that next level. Well, for him, it's you go from 67 points to 74 points to 80 points. Like that's the level for him. That's where he has to go. Same thing with Sebastian Aho. He got his deal and he showed it last year. He was a better than a point per game player. Well, now can he become a 90-point player? Marty Necas is in that same boat. This is a big year for him with his restricted free agent contract. But he and Andrei Svechnikov, really, when people are asking, what are the Canes looking at or banking on? They're banking on those two guys in Necas and Svechnikov to be 30-goal scorers or be around 30 goals. So that's what it is. But for Seth Jarvis, back to it, he's shown that he's got the offense now. Now does it go up? Does it take another step up the ladder, another rung?
You mentioned a few of the guys. I have this question for you: is who needs to make the biggest leap for the Canes? And I'm going to give you three options: Jesperi Kotkaniemi, Martin Necas, and I'm throwing Jalen Chatfield in there as he bumps up to the second pairing of defensemen.
I really like I'd like to say, and I don't want to say the easiest answer would be Jesperi Kotkaniemi, but that would be for me the easiest answer because, who we think he's going to play between all season long, be it Svechnikov and Necas or, something with, Roslovic or Jarv or whatever. But I'm going to put it squarely on Marty Necas, the guy who 2 years ago led the team in points. All right, be that guy. Be one of the best offensive players in the league. Be a 30-goal scorer with 45, 50 assists. He's the guy for me. If he takes that leap, Tim, Canes are going to be more than all right this year.
There's the two guys that you kind of brought up, Svech and Necas. They lead the league in, for me, like they make 4 plays a game where I just go, do that every time. Yeah. But guys will bounce off of Svech and they'll get a good shot off, or Necas will, crisscross the ice at 1,000,000 miles an hour, and I'm just going every time right there, do it, or give it to me 12 times a game rather than 3, right? And the energy rises and everybody's got it, and I think at some point they're gonna have to kind of be a little bit more aggressive in that way.
Yeah, the consistency for me is the big thing with what you've said, because especially when we get to overtime, I don't know if there's, outside of Connor McDavid, another player who brings you to your feet the way that Marty Necas can in 3-on-3 overtime. But again, he's the guy who he leaves you wanting more because it's there. It's like, don't hide the good stuff. You go over to your friend's house, don't hide the good stuff. I know you got it. Just bring it out. Yeah. Don't give me just a taste of it here. Yeah. Let's go enjoy this. So, and he's the guy. And again, you take it for granted, he's only 25 years old. So, there's so much in front of him, but he's the one player that I look at. And if he steps into that stratosphere of all-star caliber, that's going to really unlock a lot of things for this Canes team.
Talk with Mike Maniscalco, voice of the Canes. You brought up his age, 25. I think just about everybody we've mentioned is 27 or younger. Yep. Let's talk about the old dogs here for a second. The Stahl line, which I think everybody loves, but it's maybe taken for granted a bit because of what they do.
Sure.
Carrier jumping on that line. How does he fit in? It's kind of a spot that they've played a bunch of different people in with Martinook, Stahl, and fill in the blank, and everyone's looked good.
Yeah, well, with Jesper Fast, that was one of those lines where you talked about, I want to see this every time you're on the ice. That's what that line was. They were rinse and repeat. You knew what you got every shift out of them. Adding Will Carrier to that line is going to make them heavier and harder to play against, if you can think about it, because Will Carrier hits like a jackhammer, and he is going to now all of a sudden go in on the forecheck, and he's going to, last year, what was it? Cause chaos. That's what he does. We're raising up this year, but last year he would have been perfect to cause chaos with what he does. So he'll fit in with that line. And I love the answer he gave this year in his first preseason game playing with those two. It's not often I've ever been in a game on a line with players who work harder than me. That happened tonight. And it wasn't because he had a lack of effort either. So that's what I think people are going to love in Will Carrier. You're going to see the funny thing about a player like Jesper Fast. He's an offensive lineman to me. I like to cross the sports metaphors too. When you don't hear his name, he's always doing his job, digging pucks out of the corner, one of those things. And, when you hear his name, usually it's, well, hopefully it's a good thing when it's a goal and all of that. But he was like that quiet guy who wasn't looking for anything else. I think you can get a little bit more out of Will Carrier in that spot than what you could out of Jesper Fast offensively. But he's got to stay healthy. Injuries have plagued him, but that's the way he plays. You play that hard physical game, you're going to get dinged up as the season moves along.
Last one for you, and then we'll let you get to your prep and save your voice, because obviously a big game tonight. There's kind of 2 or 3 if you include goal, but 2 big questions for me. One, the second line forwards, which we've talked about, and then the second power play unit. I love the first power play unit. I want to leave them out there for a minute 30 of every power play. Who do you see kind of being the movers and the shakers on that second power play unit?
Brent Burns and Sean Walker, the 2 guys on the who are leading from the blue line, leading from the back end. And if you watch, Brent Burns is going to go to the front of the net and be a net front presence. So there's that, and also Jack Drury. I think this is a place where Jack Drury can start to bring in.
You just saw Dennis get excited. That's Dennis's
guy. I'm well aware, Dennis. I know that. So, and Dennis gave me $5. No, Jack is a guy who I think that you're going to see a little bit more offensive finish to his game this year. Too. And I think you'll see it on that second power play group because he's so smart. I'll share this story real quick because I know we're probably up against some.
I don't know if you've heard he went to Harvard.
I did hear that once, along with Seth Jarvis. a few years ago during his draft class, I had the chance to, hear what the scouts were saying about him. And the Canes have a longtime scout who is up in the college ranks in the Northeast and Massachusetts around there. And he goes, I don't know if he's going to be an all-star, but I know he's going to be a captain one day. And that's the thing for me about Jack Drury that he brings to the ice. He's a Harvard guy. Mm-hmm. He's smart, but you talk about the lineage with his uncle and his dad who played in the league and what his uncle Chris did, and he's now the general manager for the Rangers, and his dad Ted was a really good, dependable player. Jack can be, in between Chris and Ted for one of those players, and we'll see if the offense comes with it this year.
I do feel like that's what you want to hear if you're a parent, right? When it's like, I don't know if he's going to... Well, it's like, I hope he's an all-star, but I love the captain line. Felt like you did your job. Mike, thank you very much for stopping out here, and good luck this season. We'll be listening.
Oh, thank you. Next time I'll judge the traffic a lot better.
Right, there you go.
Or I'll jump in the second group of road cones because we know we have enough out here.
They all say Lenovo Center. Every single one of them. There we go. See, not one in the jar. Mike Maniscalco, voice of the Canes. Appreciate it.
I'm Tim. Thank you.